Everyone, RemanX here, and stop what you're working on right now. You probably, unless you're working through Dark Dimension 4, everything else can kind of be put on hold. And here's the reason why. We're going to go through the revelations we had over the weekend, the impact it's had on the community, and a lot of the questions that we have yet unresolved. And I'll make a video if these questions do get resolved that we need to have answered, because it is a very, very pressing argument. And I think we have to come together on a community on this and really let them know how we feel. So if you guys were living in a bubble somewhere and didn't catch the end of the blog, well, a big feels bad man moment happened when they announced the changes to the raid requirements, not suggestions, requirements, and ISO level 5 was required. And this is the worst I told you so moment I've ever had in my life. When I made a video earlier on in the week and said you're not farming enough ISOs because the writing was on the wall, I had no idea they were going to implement this as a change. But the writing's been on the wall. You weren't farming enough ISOs, but it's too late now. They've directed us down the path and moved the cheese in the maze, and now we're stuck in a holding pattern. And here's the problem. In a game that shouldn't be about resource management, it should be about hero collection, building heroes to face challenges. Now they're dictating exactly which characters we have to build up. And not to mention that there's a legendary that requires ISO at high levels too. Skip that because we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So if you guys don't know, the Doom raids recently have become a focus for alliances, and unfortunately largely have changed some alliances landscape where they've had to search out new members because of these milestones. Surfer was a brand new carrot that was being dragged in front of the community with the idea that they wanted to chase this reward through the raids. And so after 2 seasons of the new raid requirements, they dropped down the milestone to start getting Surfer shards to milestone 20, which meant that people doing 30% in the raids had a chance to get a significant number of shards over the 33 seasons of Surfer. But now with the bombshell announcement that the first 5 lanes, and let's pull up the blog, because I think that's probably the most important piece of the puzzle here, is we kind of got to take a look at the blog so you guys get an idea of where this information is coming from, so we can just get right to the source before there's any confusion here. So largely, this weekend's blog featuring my favorite character, and there's a video on my reaction to my favorite character coming to the game. Kind of a letdown here. So let's talk about this. So the raids are changing. And the raids are changing in a way that means that people that were 100%ing them will not be able to even enter them anymore. And let's pause for a moment here. All right? The first strike raid is going away. And when I say stop what you're doing, before the guidance was level up characters that are good for the Doom raid. Well, the question now becomes, what do we need? Do we need a full team of 5, ISO level 4? Will it change dramatically? Well, there's some safe bets here, and we'll probably go over them at the end, what the safe bets are for the raids. But the question is, there's too many questions that'll be unanswered until all of these things happen. More importantly, this bombshell that you haven't even considered yet. You have the wrong ISOs on your characters, because ISO level 2 will change the ones that you want to equip. Yeah, nobody's talking about that, but that's important. ISO level 2 is coming out, and there will be some significant changes to the characters you're going to want to bring up in certain ISO classes. Yeah. How's that? How's that for a double whammy? So largely, we're looking at ions. We're looking at all the different costs and requirement to get there. And I talked about it in the video with Valley. This is frustrating because I have several characters, and I think I'm lucky enough that I think I only have to bring up 3 or 4 characters, but that's still literally a ton of farming, and I am a massive Kraken in the game. This will have a less of an impact on the Krakens, but even then, It's taking away the agency that ISO once provided. ISO was largely considered one of the best, period, player-friendly, period, creations, period, that a mobile game has ever offered. And making it so that we have to now force us down this path to ISO level 5 characters we may not care about. More importantly, the challenge should be built around where it's hard enough that the ISO level should make a difference. And if the ISO levels don't make a difference, maybe you haven't tweaked enough of the ISO stats to make us want it. So realistically, guys, I have a hard time when people ask me who should I be working on right now, and the answer is probably no one but a few of these characters, and we'll go over that in a moment here. So real quickly, the first 5 nodes will require ISO level 4. Now, for a lot of people, your raid teams probably haven't built up to ISO level 4. And what's worse is after that, so if you guys were rushing those middle lanes to get to 30%, well, guess what? Now you're going to need ISO level 5. So in the end, they're moving our cheese away from where it once was. So with the fact that there's new characters that are being announced that are coming to the game, there's characters that we haven't properly evaluated, and we just don't know how this quote unquote easier raid with harder requirements to even access them is going to pan out. I'm really concerned about making recommendations. Here's the reason. There is zero communication as of right now, the filming of this video. Okay? There is zero confirmation that it could be 1, 2, or 3 characters. Maybe 3 symbiotes, maybe 3 Axemen win. Remember, it is Monday, May 24th. And if the confirmation comes later on, that is much better. But until then, hold your ISOs, start farming them now, start building them up, specifically controllers, because they're so darn good in this game. But I would put yourself in a holding pattern unless you're trying to beat Dark Dimension 4. And if you're trying to determine what characters to take Dark Dimension 4, ask your alliance, ask your community, get involved here on Twitch and YouTube, and hopefully come to that. But we'll talk about some of the characters. Now, I do have the benefit of having participated in the ISO level 2 test. Okay? But the information I have is subject to change. So if you guys notice, my ISO tier list has kind of been put on hold, and largely because I'm not confident that all of the decisions I have won't change when ISO level 2 is announced. I don't want you spending ISO level 5. Think about this, guys. You could spend ISO level 5 on a character to bring them to, let's say, ISO level 5 Skirmisher, only to find out that their best option with ISO blue, ISO 2, whatever you want to call it, is literally a different class. That means from 4 to 5, you spent 300,000 ions, and that's not even talking about how many you spent leveling it up. This is not a change that feels good for the community, not with everything that's currently in flux. So guess what, guys? It's time to do Scopely's favorite thing for us to do and hoard resources. You heard me here right. Hoard resources. Now, for me, the bio characters, I have my symbiotes there. They're my bio. I don't expect that to change. There may be some bio characters coming out next pass. We've hypothesized that Phyla-Vell could be bio, but then again, unless you're a massive Kraken, you're probably not getting her anyway. We talked about the mutants here, and even the mutants, guys. Despite my love and desire for mutants, my primary raid team only features 4 out of 5. I don't even have Jubilee ISO 5. Okay. When we're talking about, as far as teams go, we're talking about the Mystics. Well, Mystics will change. If let's say you're getting Adam Warlock, maybe that's a character you want to bring up there. Imagine that you can't bring up a character to ISO level 5 that is your favorite character in the game. That's how that feels. So Surfer, obviously an easy choice for Dark Dimension 4. Doom if you get him. Potentially Hela, Thanos, Moss. So there are some characters there that a lot of people have, but probably not at ISO 5. And then, the one that I think a lot of us are stuck on is going to be skill. skill hasn't felt right yet. Until we had Kestrel come to the game, Kestrel realistically was the solution for the skill rate. And looking at the skill nodes, I don't have enough ISO level 5 if it requires 5 characters to even attempt it. This is on top of having to farm for some additional legendary requirements. And then lastly is tech, and tech has sorted itself because obviously there's some overlap. And, you know, maybe this is the big difference, that characters that are significant and powerful will come out with double origin traits to make it so that they're valuable there. Cough, cough, Bioladder Morlock. That's the big difference. So Doc Ock, Doctor Doom, Falcon, Kestrel, and Shuri. Those are the guys I've been using in the tech raid to some success. All right, guys. So stay tuned. I will hopefully get some more information for you guys from the developers. I'm staying very, very aware of this going forward. We're in a holding pattern. I don't recommend just overly investing in your teams as of yet. It is way too much in flux, and this is a very, very bad place to live in. We're at the mercy of the next level of communication, because wasting resources right now is one of the worst possible things you can do to your roster. Love you much. Catch you soon. Remember, I do things so you don't have to. And I'm in a holding pattern too.